Hey everybody, history has been made on the first ever all women's fight card for professional boxing. It is part 3 in the saga between Serrano and Taylor. I'm Bobby Munson, and joining me here tonight for this major history making event, or history making event, my apologies, it is Andre C. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine, sir. Really, really good night of fighting for everything. At least of what I saw. I only saw the final four that were on Netflix, but I didn't see the undercard. But really good, like the whole main card. There's nothing disappointed, like nothing at all.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. Like, I didn't catch the prelims, of course, but I did catch the entire main card from start to finish, all 4 fights that were on there. I will probably go back and have to check out the prelims as well too, as I'm curious to find out what went down in those, considering how
Well,
solid this
I've
was.
got
And
the results for it if you want. I've
yeah,
got
we
those
can.
results.
We'll definitely run through that. My only thing I want to say is, like, we were chatting through this whole thing, and the last time Netflix dipped their toes into the boxing world, there's a whole lot of glitchy problems and things like that held a lot of people back, and hopefully it didn't hold them back viewership wise here tonight, because everything went off without a hitch. There was no delays, no glitches, everything was smooth, and the entire card was fantastic from start to finish. There was not a dull, boring moment in a 4-hour event. 4 hours. If you watch the prelims, I think the prelim show was 2 hours long, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a total of 6 hours of content here tonight.
Yeah, because again, under the rules for the rules that we saw tonight, all rounds are 2-minute rounds, and all but let's see, yeah, all main cards were 10 by 2 minutes. Two on the undercard were 10 by 2 minutes because they were both championship fights. One of them was an 8 by 2 minute fight, but the opening fight actually was an 8 by 3 minute fight, which was
Okay.
like okay, interesting, but yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So let's go through. How about as we're starting off here? Why don't you run down the prelim card? Who was in them and what the results were?
Yeah, so open the card. Canadian Tamara Tebow actually defeated American Mary Casamasis. Casamasis? Something like that. I'm not good at names. We all know that. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, good Canadian girl winning. Winning by knockout TKO due to unanswered punches. So sweet. Good solid win for Canadian here.
Awesome. That's a good way to start anytime. Gotta love us a little bit of Canadian flavor. So fantastic. Good one.
Yeah. Then we got Ramla Ali defeating Lilia for. Or sorry, that first one actually ended in the 5th round by TKO. So it was in the 5th round. So
Nice.
yeah, Ramla Ali in the second fight on the show defeated Lilia Furtado in an 8-round unanimous decision.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. And then we had Chantel Cameron defeating Canadian Jessica Camara.
Canadians took it.
For an interim WBC World Female Super Lightweight title, which is because that literally the regular title was on the line in the main event, so the WBC one. So this is an interim. So I'm not sure how that's worked because the WCB title, I'm pretty sure, was on the line in the main event. So I don't know. But yeah, Chantel Cameron won that fight over in that one, and then the final fight on the undercard was Chamika Johnson winning by TKO in the 9th round, defeating Sharetta Metcalf, who was originally supposed to fight Thorslin on this card, but a couple months ago, Dina announced she was pregnant, so that fight was canceled, and that this fight was made. So yeah,
Nice.
And this was for the undisputed female bantamweight title.
So actually had some TKOs on the undercard, all things considered, because we had nothing but the judges' decisions throughout the main card. 4 fights all went the distance later into this thing. Interesting. I'll have to go back and check that out. I'm very curious to see some of those fights, and especially after the greatness that was this entire card here tonight. let's run it down. That very first fight, I'm trying to remember that it was Ellie
Uh,
Scottney, I believe was the one on one side there, and the other lady's name. My
Yamlith
apologies.
Mercado. Yamlith
Marcado,
Mercado.
that's it. Yes,
Mercado,
thank
yeah.
you, Marcado. So this thing opened up, and man, Ellie Scottney, interesting fighter. I gotta say, very interesting fighter. It's at times I'm like, I thought it was weird that her stance is very an open stance, like she has the arms dropped. Sometimes you'll see that
Like
in a
down
fighter
here. Like,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you'll see that in a fighter deep into a match, especially if they've taken body blows and the arms start to drop a little bit more because the physicality that's happened to the body. But this wasn't the case. I mean, she had not taken that many blows. She just, I believe, goes in with that stance, but she's very quick with her hands too. So a lot of the times when Mercado would try to take an overhead swing at her, Ellie was so keen on allowing that because it takes so long to throw the overhand, and then all of a sudden she pop in there with a couple of quick jabs or something like that, and man, they were landing. It was so good, and the commentators kept going on about how Scottney's got this like funny personality. They mentioned that she's got a viral video where she mimics the Sideshow Bob rake gimmick in The Simpsons, even, and everything like that. And then she gets in there, and she's a pit bull in that fight. Like she
Mm-hmm.
was tough as nails. Like man, this opened things up in a very exciting way. This was a solid fight to kick the night off.
Yeah, like I watching this one, I was like, there were so many titles. Like this whole card, I think it was 17 titles in total were on the line between every in all the fights. And I'm not sure if that's just main card or include the undercard. But yeah, that's a lot of. It was, I guess, a world record for most titles defended or being contested for on a card. And this one started at, dude. This was insane. Like Ellie's counter, like her counter punching, like being able to just get right out of the way of that big punch and come in, just bang bang, and just the precision she had, like it was tremendous. I scored this fight myself. Again, I'm not a boxing judge. I don't know all the rules of it, so I just went on how I felt. I had Scottney winning this nine. Her she was to my card she won 99 to 91. Mercado to me only like my eyes only won the seventh, and but it was the whole fight was close. Like it wasn't like it was somebody just dominating over the other, and that's what a
Yeah,
lot of these fights were tonight. And I just like Mercado, like she had some great strikes and a great punches, but she was just trying to constantly go for that big looping shot in, and that's where Scottney would just get underneath and bang, 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 and just counter punch, and it just made for a very solid opening fight. But like Scotty just like owned this fight. He really did, and she won it. Judges' scorecards were one judge had it 100 to 90 for Scottney, and then the other two had it 90, 98, and 92 for
yeah.
Scottney's. So and it wasn't like a super close fight, but it wasn't like Scotty won it out handedly, but she wasn't like Mercado didn't come to play. Like it was a really good fight.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And again, take nothing away from either one of them. Scottney holds a very impressive record. I thought it was interesting seeing the stat come up that said that she grew up watching Katie Taylor as a fighter. And I'm thinking to myself, like, and how young do you have to be standing in there and say that you were a fan growing up of one of the ladies that's going to be in the main event here tonight? Massive, like what a moment for both these women as well too, to go out on this big stage, sold out Madison Square Garden. I did notice one thing. This always irks me about boxing. It's been this way I've watched since I was a little kid. Is that people pay probably very, very good money to go to a boxing event, and you see the first couple of fights of the night, and that audience was maybe 50% full on the
Mm-hmm.
seats. Once it got to the co-main event and the main event, the place was packed in Madison Square Garden. But I'm like, how much are you willing to piss away to not go watch the rest of the card? Like, honestly, I paid money to go see an event. I will watch it all. Even if I go to a concert and I'm not a big fan of the openers, I'll still go watch the openers because I paid
Yep.
for the show. I'm going to watch the whole damn show, and maybe I'll be surprised by something that starts things off.
Yeah, again, like I look at this whole card and like even the undercard, like the results, like I wouldn't want to miss that. I want to see those. I want to see those like the undercard fights. I want to see it all. Like I've been to events and stuff in the local area, and yeah, like you get there and the place is about half, maybe 2/3 full at the start of the card, and then people are filing in as the card's going on. But like, I don't get that. I've never understood that. I just want to be there. I want to see everything. Give me it all. I'm paying that much money. I want to see it all.
Yeah, yeah, and of course the typical Netflix thing, they got to go by all the celebrities that will be either making appearances or are currently making appearances in Netflix based shows. This seems to be a very big trend of the Netflix sporting time frame and everything like that. So they got to do what they got to do, right? Like, I mean, they're not, it's not traditional TV. They got to make sure you remember that Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out on July 25th and to go check it. Yeah, but look who's
Shooter
joining
was
us
there.
in the house because it's even earlier out to his way than it is ours. It's STG. Good to see it too. Yes, sir. It is boxing. Taylor and Serrano fights tonight. It was fantastic. That's the
Yes.
best part too, right? Like we're on a weekend where the WWE is putting on Evolution, an all women's premium live event, and we also got the first ever all women's fight card for professional boxing on a Friday night as well too. So a couple of great herstory. I'll keep making that reference, making moments here this weekend. But yeah, great opener. Can't wait to see these two ladies fight again. Especially Scottney. I can't wait to see Scottney's next fight, and you almost guarantee they're going to be lining something up for one of these Netflix cards down the road for Scottney for sure.
I think they said Scottney was 10-0 coming into this fight,
I think so.
and
Yeah,
yeah, so like she's now 11-0. Like you got to think she's only going to be getting tougher and tougher opponents, and she's a multi not division but multi company champion now at this point. Um, and she's only going to be getting tougher and tougher people coming after her. But I can't wait to see who can stand with her next because yeah, it'd be incredible to watch the next fight with her.
yeah. No, this is the nice
She's
thing about this.
she's 27 by the way, and Katie Taylor's 39. So
Okay.
it's attention. She's 12 years younger. Yeah, she would have been in her like. Katie
Yeah,
Taylor entered fighting in her early 20s there, or actually, I think she's maybe in her teens. But yeah,
probably.
that makes sense to me that she grew up watching Katie Taylor. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I like this now that Netflix got their stuff figured out and everything, and this went off without a hitch. Like I want more of this. Like we're gonna be watching the fights in September as well too that are coming up. Like I hope this continues. This is a great trend. I enjoy this stuff. I would take anything. Bring me MMA. Bring me any kind of combat sport on Netflix. I'll go for it. I enjoy me some fighting, and I mean everybody was putting on display here tonight. Let's talk about that second fight. That second fight. Again,
Oh,
we
mm.
a couple of smash mouth ladies here too, right? A couple of we had one with the height, and we had one that has shoulders that are 10 feet wide of complete pure muscle. Like this was a couple of tough gladiator women in the second fight. You mentioned about the referee, and I want you to talk in depth about that in a moment,
Like
for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I will say that it's like, especially when it comes to people that are more physical, like you get to even when it's the guys and stuff like that. A lot of the time, it's it can be fatigue, but sometimes when getting wrapped up with the opponent and stuff like that, it's just because of the way they fight and everything. It just happens that the lockups happen, and of course, sometimes you get referees like we had tonight in this match. And let's hear your thoughts on said referee for this fight, Andre.
like overall, he did a good job of the fight. Again, he was separating them a lot though when they were just getting into clinch. Like they hadn't even really clinched it. He was already in there separating. So it was like it's really odd to me. Again, I'm more used to watching like MMA and stuff where people are clinching and going to the ground and stuff like that. But like I'm just watching it and I'm like this, and even on forward. And then she spun away to throw her off at one point, and she got given shit. Green got given shit for that, for spitting
Yeah.
and her off. And then Andre Ward, who is a legend in boxing,
Mm-hmm.
he's saying, "So I can't clinch a person, or I'm going to get in trouble. But if I try to roll and throw them off, I'm going to get in trouble." How does that work? Like even he's saying the logic doesn't make sense with this referee, which I'm like, yeah, it really doesn't. Like, and again, and then he took a point away in the fourth round to Green, and they're even like all the announcers are even saying it's like the only reason she's clinched as much as she had is because of the height difference, and that like
Mm-hmm.
Marshall comes over her and she ends up over top of her. So it's almost like it seems like Green's grabbing her, but she's not. And
No.
yeah, a couple few times. Don't get me wrong, it is what happens, but she didn't clinch. She didn't go to that clinch consistently to get that point taken away. But he did say that she wasn't breaking the clinch. She did specifically say that he wasn't breaking the clinch, but she was. But I don't know.
I think what it came down to is he kept saying to let go, and it wasn't like an immediate
Yeah,
press away kind of thing. And that's in the moment too, right? Because a lot of those lockups you see where her arms were over top and she's got them loose like this, and then your opponent's holding it at the same time and stuff like that. They don't necessarily want to go let go. You don't want to let go because the thing, and with it being so noisy with the audience around and stuff, if you don't quite hear that audible from the referee about let go immediately, you don't want to necessarily be that person that lets go and then your opponent takes advantage and throws an uppercut your way or something like that
yeah.
too. So and we saw an instance of that in this fight too, because at the end when the bell rung, this was this fight too with the
Yeah,
extra
it's
shot thrown.
this the final round. Yeah,
Yeah. And it
the crowd
was
was going nuts.
total mistake, right? The bell had rung, but the crowd was so loud that it was like, okay, like, they missed the cue on that one. And I think that was the case here too. You can miss the referee's cue and all that kind of stuff in the process of these happening, and your adrenaline and all that's flowing through you. It's not as simple as just like let go. Okay, sir. And that's where I think the referee overstepped a bit too much. And who am I to say, right? Like I'm not an official like he is. I've not taken the kind of training that he has or anything like that. I just feel like it was like an overabundance of having to be dominant. And that's what it came across like even before they started, when he's laying out the rules and he's talking about like below the waistline and trying to explain it to these two professionals that have done this for how long already about what the waistline is in boxing. It's like, come on, dude. I'm pretty sure these ladies know what the hell the below the waistline rule is, how it applies. You don't need to assert your dominance like some weird male chauvinist kind of thing that he came
And,
across like in this one.
and the other half is you've already told them you've gone through all of this in the change in their locker rooms before the fight, because
Yeah.
the referee for whichever match goes to the locker room go to each dressing room prior to there to explain the full ruling to eat like it goes over the rules, because you've already explained this shit to them in the locker room before the fight. You don't need to do it here in the ring. I understand when a referee does it in a big main event situation, when he brings the two main event fighters to the center, does the rule thing there. That's one thing, because it's the main event. You're doing it's to pump the circumstance. You're going through it at that point, but this one it didn't seem to make sense there.
No, and you could still see there was even like enough room that they were still feeding shots to the body and stuff at times. Like it would seem like even when they were going down to the side of the body, or Green would go down to the side of the body, you would have the referee immediately moving in. Like it was like he had to pounce right that second. Like, oh, they're too close to each other, kind of thing. It's like he wanted that distance. And even the commentary said he's known for wanting boxers to be at a distance, but that's not the entirety of boxing. And you have to understand
No.
that. And I think that he could have backed off at least a good 15 to 20% in this fight. And I think that would have made it better. That still didn't take away from the fight for me. These two slugged it out with each other, like just beat on each other. Green inevitably got the win by decision, very narrowly ish, but I would love to see this run back. And like I know with our chat that you said with a different referee, very much so. I'm very invested in watching these two fight again.
I'd like to see them kind of have a little more free reign in their if they go again, just a little bit more, because like I had this fight actually. I called like I had it as a draw, but I had it the point deduction in the fourth. I had Marshall Marshall winning it 95-94 because I had them even going even at the end, even winning rounds, right? But can point deduction take it away? But again, Green ends up winning it. Two judges had it 96, or one judge had 96-93 for Green, another had it 96-93 for Marshall, and the final judge had it 95-94 for Green. So she won by split decision. So again, very good fight. And again, I can see where these judges went on both accounts. On every account they had, I can see that because these rounds were close. They were both slugging the crap out of each other, and they were each hitting with strong strikes. And yeah, it was a very, very, like, if it wasn't for the next fight, this would have been fight of the night easy. Like, this was probably my second favorite fight on this card, and this doesn't take away from the main event or the opener. Just
No, yeah.
I'm a big fan of heavyweight boxing. Like when you see these bigger men, like what we're going to be watching in the fall. You see the big guys and they're swinging. You could see you're going to knock it. I was praying for a knockout here. I wanted to see Green just smoke Marshall and knock her out, but really good fight. Like these two just threw everything at the wall with each other.
Oh, and it just didn't even seem to phase either one of them. That's the other thing too. It's like you punch them and then they just come back for more. Like nothing was going to stop either one of them from continuing this fight right through to the end. So a couple of Warriors. Hope we get to see this one played back one more time. Third fight of the night. This was between Baumgartner and Miranda, right? Was the last name of her opponent?
Yeah, Alicia Baumgartner from the U.S. and Jennifer Miranda from Spain.
Yeah, and Miranda coming into this thing undefeated. I think Baumgartner's record almost completely unblemished, other than maybe one. The last defeat they said was in 2016 on her record there. So we got undefeated versus someone who has not been beaten in 9 freaking years. They wanted to put on a show that was very clear. They wanted to make sure that they could try to win everybody over here on this one. They wanted to be the fight of the night, and they didn't disappoint. I mean, they came in there. They came in swinging. They came in to put on an exciting show. This was when the crowd really got into it. They were loud in the other two, but this was when the crowd filled in more. You had a lot more chants going on. It was huge.
Yeah, I watched this fight, and dude, like these two killed it. Like just good. Both of them really good in where they're going, but like Baumgartner had this just presence about her and in getting in on again, Ellie earlier, she could get in under. She seemed to like be able to get in under and bang bang. She's a very good in her counter punching and but also being able to step in with those quick jabs. She was so good. But like Miranda had some really strong rounds in here, and just really, from everything, she hasn't been around as long. She only started when she was 27. I think the thing said one of the credits said
26. Yeah,
26. But
yeah.
And she has but she was really solid, and she's been fighting a lot over in Europe and Spain. I guess as like a top champion in Spain, and yeah, like just really good. Both of these two, like they had a really strong fight going back and forth, and yeah, I had it myself 97-93 for Baumgartner.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Baumgartner might have started off a little slow in this one, which kind of opened things up at the beginning to make people believe Miranda had it. And Miranda put on a fight here. Like, I don't kid ourselves. A lot of people had written Miranda off, and even commentary said as someone who was going to pretty much have this one handed to her. Like, that Baumgartner was going to walk away with an easy victory here. This was anything but an easy victory, and might have just put Jennifer Miranda a little bit more on the map, if anything else, even though taking a defeat for the very first time, taking it to somebody the caliber of Baumgartner, and in this way is only going to supercharge her. I mean, she didn't get knocked out. She got beat, of course, on judge's decision, but she's going to walk into another fight down the road more prepared, more ready. She's now seen what Baumgartner can bring to the table. If they roll this one back, I think we might have another different, complete story in the second fight.
Yeah, I can see, because Miranda, you could see her learning throughout the fight. Yeah, like I had the first couple for Baumgartner, but then for 3 and 4 and really took over, kind of like really established. But then Baumgartner just came back in, kind of adjusted her plan to really play to what Miranda was doing, and it was really a solid fight throughout. And I would love to see these two go again, because like Miranda's, maybe Miranda takes a couple fights with some other people, gets a couple more fights in her belt, and maybe she comes back with another shot at Baumgartner and to see what she can do if elevating her game, fighting a couple other people.
Yeah, 100%. No, great fight. We will, you know what? At the end, once we've talked about all 4 fights, we're going to go back. We're going to say what our favorite fight was. And then we're also going to decide who was the top fighter or the best individual fighter of the night, whether they were involved in our favorite fight or not, is what we'll do before we wrap up the show here tonight. We also encourage.
The judges had it. 2 judges had 98-92 for Baumgartner, and 1 judge agreed with me, 97-93.
Yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, we also encourage the audience, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching on repeat, to let us know what your favorite fight of the night was and who was the surprise fighter or best fighter of the night for you as well too. You can include the prelims as well. We will keep ours strictly, because either of us got to watch the prelims. We will keep ours strictly to the main card when we give that at the end of the program. But yes, we're going now on to the main event of the evening, the big one, part 3. It is Serrano versus Taylor. And man, did they make a spectacle of this thing. There was video package throughout the night, tons of video packages. One starts off with Uma Thurman doing the introduction to it, and then we go over to, I think it's Layla Ali, I believe her name is, former fighter Layla Ali, daughter of Muhammad Ali, who was there on commentary. She starts talking about the history of women's boxing and the history of the rivalries that went through. She, gets to talk about the time when she's stepped in the ring with Smoking Joe Frazier's daughter, continuing the legacy of what their dads had built and everything. A lot of great video packages. The production was top notch throughout the entire night. Then we were talking about this badass introduction that they do for Amanda Serrano. Like, it was fantastic. They've told her story. They're making you feel the feels. They've built it all up. The music, the singing, the probably 75% Madison Square Garden filled with everybody from Puerto Rico that was available that night to go to the Madison Square Garden. The Puerto Ricans were loud and proud in the arena on this one, and everything was just the baby face finally conquering the heel type feel in a big main event. That was the way that they made this feel. They made the design of it feel. And even when Katie Taylor comes out as the champion, her introduction is a lot less spectacle than Serrano's throughout the whole thing.
Serrano she had a lady singing Spanish, and she had the Knicks cheerleaders coming out dancing while she came, and then walked to the ring with her. She had Jake Paul with her, so that kind of healed her a little bit for me.
Fair, yeah.
But yeah, like she had this it was a pompous circumstance, was very different to her. And then you have Katie come out with just the song playing, makes her right. She's just walking slowly to the ring and just taking it all in, and you're like, this is a very different feel of the fighters, and that different feel really showed in when they went into the fight, and it was a very different feel from last time, because watching after, they're talking about the amount of punches thrown and things like that. It was a very different fight because both of them fought a very different fight from last time.
Oh, 100%. You could tell that there was a lot more concern with how to approach the fight in this bout. And I bet you anything, and I know we're going to talk a lot differently about it, but I bet you there will be a lot of people that go to review this fight that are going to talk about how it's not the spectacle that they got in the first 2 fights. That is nowhere near those. Is it as good as the first 2? Probably not in terms of your excitement level. If you're looking for a slugfest between 2 people, then the first 2 fights are absolute dynamite and probably gonna live on as 2 of the best fights ever to happen. So in a sense, you could say 3 might let a lot of people down. I don't necessarily see it exactly that way myself. I think that this was a lot more calculated, strong fight between two absolute perfect legends of the professional boxing ring. I think that they wanted to be calculated, but what they threw and what landed was very exciting throughout this entire thing. 10 rounds of it back and forth between these two ladies. You couldn't tell. And I'm curious to know where your marks on this one were too, because again, we come down to the same situation as we had in the last one, where now people are going to be debating, is the scoring right? Is this done correctly? Did Katie Taylor deserve to win once again, or have they once again destroyed Amanda Serrano in this thing with the judge's decision? Because it even didn't feel like it was that close when the decision came in. Like, this decision was a lot more favorable to Katie Taylor. And you know what? I'm not saying she didn't deserve the win, to be honest with you. I don't think, as the challenger in the situation, Serrano did enough to be able to have her hand raised. I think when you're the challenger going into a big fight like this, you have to do that much more to convince them that you're the actual victor. And I think that's where Serrano might have let herself down. Katie Taylor did not have to do as much in order to retain as what Serrano would have had to do in order to gain.
Yeah, like again, judging it the way I judged it, like I actually differed from at least the unofficial scorecard, and I think the judges, because I put the first round as a draw, a
Yeah.
10-10, because while I know Katie Taylor threw and like connected with arm, but she didn't connect really anything that I would think was even pointable personally.
Yeah.
So I gave the 10-10 opening round, right? And then I had Serrano at the end up 96-95 because of the first open round draw. Otherwise, it would have been, if you give it the first one to Taylor, it would have been a draw. But I gave it the first round a draw. So to me, Serrano won it 96-95. Am I going to? Am I? No, because these rounds were so tight in how they were fighting. They were all. It was precision fighting. It was calculated fighting in this fight. Like, everybody, there was no going for broke. There wasn't, which I really felt Serrano should have been doing in those especially those last 2 rounds, because I had to have those last 2 rounds. I had those last 2 rounds both for Taylor. If Serrano would have just went for broke, especially in that final round, and just started going, I really feel she might, like, the other judge, because one of the judges went 95-95, right, for a draw, and the other two went 97-93 for Taylor. Now, had Serrano really gone out in those last 3 rounds and kind of gone for broke and just unloaded, she might have taken it and made it, and she might have had a majority draw in the end, or she might have had a win. I don't know, but it's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Walter Gretzky, famous line from him. And that's the biggest issue is I scored it that way just looking at it, but I can see where those other judges went, because so many of these rounds were so tight. A couple of them, they were Serranos, or a couple of them, they were Taylors. There was no disputing, but so many of them were so tight that I can understand the judges going either way on this fight.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, I got to take a bit of an optimistic look here and say, could it also be the fact that it's like, at this point in time, they are now headlining this massive, massive fight card. They are being paid the money they should be getting paid, not the money that they were getting paid in the past. Especially, they've mentioned how many times Serrano, $2,000 to $4,000 in a year for putting her body on the line, because people didn't want to put women on a card. They didn't want to give them a chance or anything like that. And these opportunities recently have turned that all around and been able to, give her the money that she deserves for her fights, and give Katie Taylor the money she deserves for her fights. And they're both kind of, getting towards the point where, like, I mean, they even asked Katie Taylor, like, is this it for you? Like, is this the last time kind of thing. So they're getting to that point in their career. They finally made some solid money like they should have done a long time ago, especially when they're putting on absolute clinics like this. I think in some ways it's like they played the safe game because it's a lot easier to enjoy retirement, or at least get to the end of retirement, when you're not battered, broken, and bruised for the rest of your life. Because you see, even when they cut to a lot of old timer boxers and everything like that, and it's just like the sentences don't form like, most people normally do, or I mean, it doesn't matter what MMA boxing, the cauliflower ear problem is always going to be a problem for most people, but you can just see it, the toll it takes on a lot of people is huge. And I think that maybe these two ladies, it's, let's play the smart game. Let's go out here. Let's not get busted open across the eye. I think they mentioned Serrano. It was, there was actually broken bone or something like that, or something above the eye during that fight. And like, when you see that cut again, when they slow motion, when they're trying to heal it during that fight, it's like, damn, that is one sick cut to get right there, to try to have that blood avoid getting in your eye throughout the match and not have that thing stopped at all,
Well,
kind of thing. It's wild.
the interview, they said in the interview, like one of the pre-fight interview, like the videos and stuff, when she was talking about like in between the fights, she was talking about the cut from the headbutt. She said it took almost 6 months for that to heal. So
Yeah.
that fight was in the fully heal. That fight was in November. So that means it didn't fully heal till roughly April. Roughly.
Or May even.
April or May somewhere.
Yeah.
That was only 2 to 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if that shit hadn't healed, this fight might not be happening. That's
Yeah.
crazy. And they were even talking if Taylor could put the right punch in that right spot. It's all scar tissue. Scar tissue is not as strong. That shit
No.
breaks when getting hit. So this could have been a whole different fight had Taylor caught that. Or like, I know Serrano opened a little cut underneath the eye of Taylor, but it got to be like a thing. But like I understand Serrano even said in her post fight, like she had to make a change because she did what she did in those first two fights and still lost. So she knew she had to change the game up, and Taylor knew she obviously on their team probably understood Serrano's going to change something up, so let's adjust our game in that same sense. So it made for a very different fight, but it was a very good fight. Like there was like it was still a very good fight because it was very close the way they were precision fighting, like so.
Yeah, no, they did a fantastic job. It was, like, again, I'm curious. I've got to go find out what other people thought of it and stuff like that too, because I get the feeling like there's going to be a lot of shit talk coming from a lot of people. Sadly, I mean, that's not what I want to see happen, but I just fear that's the direction some people are going to go. Well, it wasn't the spectacle that the first two fights are, so it's not as good. I get where they're coming from. I'll understand where they're coming from. I highly disagree. I think this was a smart boxing match that was not boring. They could have been boring. It wasn't boring. It was still very, very entertaining and a good flow to it for 10 rounds after what was inevitably a great card all throughout as well, too. Great job by these women, in my opinion. Great way to end their saga and move on to whatever it is. If neither of them stepped in a boxing ring again, they're going to go down as legends that changed the sport for women fighters for the future, kind of thing. And that's why this is so monumental.
Yeah, again, great way to cap a card, and it was like Netflix did a great job in the way they promote, like they did with that original Netflix card, and spitting these two out to be the stars coming out of that, and to bring them forward to their own headlining fight on Netflix. It worked perfectly.
Yeah. 100%. No, it was great. Now I want to come to that point in time, and hopefully everybody plays along too. Andre, best fight of the night.
Best fight. I'm probably going green. I don't know. It's between the second and the third fight on the card. No, I'm gonna go Green and Marshall. That just the way those two were going, just whooping minus the ref. Even with the ref stuff, it was still my favorite fight to watch with how much they were just trying to literally knock each other's heads off at times. It was I I pretty much like the in men's fighting. I love the heavyweight boxing. I love watching you dudes try to just take each other's head off, and that's what Green versus Marshall was in
Yeah,
just trying to go for power here.
100%. No, I agree with you. Again, I'm torn between those two fights as well too, and for the exact same reasons that you are. And I think I have to lean the same direction with Green and Marshall. I think the fight was tighter and everything. There was a little bit more of that gap in the Baumgartner fight, but again, like it's a tough one. It is really tough, and I mean that's by a narrow margin, and that's not to take away from any other fight on this card. I think it was just the unexpected standout in the end is what it ended up being. So,
Yeah.
Best fighter, overall fighter of the night. Who put on the best show of all these fights?
Alicia Baumgartner. I think just how well she controlled that fight in and how solidly she worked in that fight, being able to get out of the way of a lot of the strong shots from Miranda, but Miranda still being solid, but being able to come back from when she was getting beaten up in those 3 rounds in like 3-4 where you really saw Miranda taking over, and to see Bomber come back in the later rounds, I think she just had such a perfect game, such a great game on that fight. I'm going to give it to Alicia Baumgartner.
Cool. That's a great show. I was actually going torn between either Ellie Scottney or Baumgartner's opponent in that matchup because I think again both of them ended up being standouts of the entire night in terms of like they got your attention in a big way. Like there was a lot of presentation behind Baumgartner, but then you had the up and coming fighter that really made a name for himself. I'm gonna go with Ellie Scottney because I think her style was very different, very interesting. I'm intrigued by her. I enjoyed her fight, so I'm gonna give the shout out to Ellie Scottney on this one and say that was my standout fighter of the entire night. But as always,
That
we're
was the
always
other one.
curious to know.
That's the other one. I was like going maybe, but like nah, I got to get the Bomber. She just fought such a perfect fight. Yeah,
Oh,
Scotty fought such a perfect fight.
yeah, it was great from start to finish. Like we said, this is taking nothing away but from anyone else in the card. I thought it was great at the end especially when Serrano was given the thank you to everybody who showed up and did something for women's boxing. I thought that was a nice, beautiful moment. People stuck around; they were cheering heavily. This 100% is a massive success in terms of boxing on Netflix. And just women's boxing in general. This makes me more excited to continue watching boxing on Netflix as well. So fantastic way to sort the stuff out, way to put on a banger card. This is the fun type of boxing I enjoyed growing up on, being able to watch. Back in the day, it was pay-per-views. Now we got streaming. I love that part of it. Can't complain at all. I had a great time. But with that said, Andre, any last thoughts or anything before we say our goodbyes?
No, I'm just solid, great fight. I'm a great card. I'm looking forward to September for Canelo versus. I don't remember who was fighting.
Let's see if I can find it.
I feel like an asshole.
Good thing we came so prepared here tonight.
Crawford.
Crawford. There we go. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Crawford is the answer. Perfect. Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
great. Looking forward to that. And of course, you'll be able to hopefully catch us here for after the fight on that one as well, too, because I really enjoy doing these. It's a fun time. So continue
Something
the
different.
trend. But yeah. But in the meantime and in between time, we're going to wrap things up. And Andre's going to let you know what he's got coming up, where you can find him outside of this.
You can find me next Blue Sky at that Canada, Instagram and Threads at that Canada. You can find me over Backbreaker Media where I'm doing my Pop Spot show, where me and my boy AWS review all the independent wrestling shows that we go to. You can find me here on Sunday doing Point of View with Bobby here. Tomorrow on Saturday afternoon, evening, night, whatever, wherever you are, myself and Lauren Goodnight are going to be going live to talk all in, or so I like to call it y'all in from
All in.
y'all in. So we're gonna be talking about that tomorrow evening, and then We were supposed to do the first edition of DC Talk on Sunday, but due to this weekend being so full of just crazy, Ed has personalized stuff. We are moving that to the 16th of this the Wednesday of this week, because we are going to talk, and we might have our host back. The Empress might might be able to rejoin by then. So yeah, DC Talk covering Superman coming out, and I'm not. So I just ended up. I'm gonna go to see the movie. Pretty much, we're gonna finish Point of View, and I'm gonna fuck off to the theater.
Sounds like a fun time. Looking forward to that review as well too. As for myself, my ticker down below where you can follow me on all social media as well as Twitch. What have I got coming up? I got tomorrow. I'm gonna hop on and do a post show for the first time in a while for pro wrestling. Tomorrow morning or afternoon or whenever it ends, I don't know. I got to figure out the times, but the Great American Bash is on, and I will be there with our good friend OLED Ed Fries doing that for you guys. Then it's going to be, as Andre said, myself, Andre, and Mark on Point of View this Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We are going to be going over the rules, the regulations, and the different types of leagues and the divisions in footy, aka soccer. So you want to stay tuned to that, getting your questions in for us as we try to explain the sport in full for you. I'm also going to have my 30 years ago Does It Still Rock show coming out on Sunday afternoon. That is going to be featuring the album Short Bus by Filter. Does It Still Rock 30 years later? And of course, this coming up Monday, you can join Ed and I for another edition of the War Room where we play WWE 2K GM mode. You can also catch myself and Andre over at Mark Talks Wrestling, where we do WWE 2K Universe mode every single day of the week. So make sure you're checking all that out. And you can find all this great content at OLE Podcast. That's our credentials down below where you can like, follow, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave us a comment if you are watching this on replay and turn on that notification bell. That's going to alert you anytime we got new content right here on the channel. But that's going to be it for us here tonight on After the Fight, as we leave you here with our weekly calendar on the way out. Andre and I bid you adieu. Have a good night.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and I don't seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies.